It is Women's Day, and it's not just a moment to celebrate the role of women in the country. That should be ideally every moment. But it is a moment perhaps to retrospectively look at where we have come and whither we go. What has actually been done over and above the typification of sloganeering and nodding along. Yes, we all agree that women's empowerment is a good thing. Yes, we all agree that women should contribute to the workforce, to the economy, that they completely open new floodgates in social welfare and governance. But what have we actually achieved? Because every time we take a step, we also have to deal with the stark reality of base issues of sexual harassment, of crimes against women. We know what's happened in Jharkhand and other parts of the country recently that are making news in the most heinous of senses. So where have we come? What is the road traveled? Now, you know what's happened in the scope of the past few hours today. The Prime Minister of the country has come out and he has talked about extending the LPG subsidy, which was done by Cabinet yesterday. Further relief is being put to LPG cylinders. He's spoken about Naari Shakti. And amidst a lot of things that have happened today, Sudha Murthy has entered Parliament in the Rajya Sabha after receiving a nomination from the President. So let's look at the journey. You're seeing some data on your screens. Joining us on the broadcast, Joyita Basu, the editor of the Sunday Guardian, is with us. Ambassador Manju Seth on the broadcast with us as well. Sumitra Goenka is with us, and Captain Anuba Singh joining us on the broadcast as well. So let's look at some figures which are important, let's keep them on our screens, on the developments that have actually happened in the past 10 years and what does that really mean. Joyita, you know the Prime Minister of the country, whether for purposes altruistic or otherwise, has been very clear that India is now focusing, or the room of government is to focus on farmers, on women, on youth and the poor. Now, when it comes to women, we often get lost in the statistics because the statistics are mind-boggling. Look at the Jan Dhan accounts, for example. Now, it's very difficult to talk with statistics, and the statistics tell you that, okay, these many crore accounts have been opened, of which there are more than 50% women. Of the loans that have been given in the Mudra scheme, 60% have been given to women. The number of toilets that have been built, the number of houses that now have water, the number of houses that now have a roof over their head. There are specific schemes that dealing with maternal health, making sure you get a stipend when you're pregnant so you don't have to work. That the cost of having a child in a clinic which is supervised under medical supervision rather than having at home is borne by the government. That there is 33% reservation which is now due in Parliament. That there is, India offers 6 months maternity leave. Are we seeing step by step progress in the right direction, Joyita?
I think what we are witnessing is the creation of an ecosystem, or rather maybe even strengthening of that, because it is not that everything has happened in the last 10 years. The foundations were laid earlier. So what we are witnessing is a creation of an ecosystem where every aspect of a woman's life, especially at the grassroots, is kind of taken care of. You know, if you're looking at what you're showing on your screen, there is the Lakpati Didi scheme. Then you see everything is kind of, it's like a chain. You know, every scheme is kind of related to the other scheme, and they are complementing each other in terms of, if there is a Lakpati Didi scheme where women are being, trained to earn, trained in a manner said that they can earn about 1 lakh rupees a year. Yes. It's a consistent income. Now, if you have if you have got the skill training through Lakpati Didi, how will you get the loan for that to start your own small business? Then you go for Mudra loan. And you see, as you have discussed earlier also, when you're going for loans, we have got the Pradhan Mantri, say for example, the housing scheme. It is building a house for you. They are helping you get a toilet. It is taking care of your health needs. It is taking care of, it is giving you privacy, it is giving you protection from going out in the field and in the forest, and they automatically what is happening, then there is the Ujjwala scheme that is coming in. So all of them are complementing each other in a manner that a woman, a lady of the house, a young girl who is studying, they get a kind of a life where all her needs or requirements, basically to provide that person with the platform so that that person can lead a become a productive citizen of the country.
Okay, so let's look in brass tacks, and the brass tacks are telling you that you have to isolate what empowerment actually means. What is empowerment? Okay, so Ambassador Manju said, we did a telecast about now a year and a half ago to actually do a dipstick test across the country of whether these toilets are being built or not, and we found that yes, indeed, toilets are being built. There are of course problems, and watching the ground reports, I was also a bit gobsmacked because we can't imagine living like this. So the women were telling us that literally, if you wanted to use the toilet, which means if you wanted to go to the bathroom, you had to wait till sunset. So to put it impolitely on television, you have to hold it for hours because you didn't have an option. Okay, you don't have it was unsafe to go. Not only unsafe from a security point of view, unsafe because literally if you go to the field, not only from chastity point of view, but from the point of view of there are scorpions and there are snakes. Okay, so what is empowerment, ma'am? Have we been able to define what it is so that we can work towards it?
Empowerment, in my view, would be that they have the right to decide when and where and on their lives and when and where to go to the toilet, starting in schools. And I think that, as you very rightly put it, holding on the whole day and holding on in school has been a real issue. I remember when I joined the government also, there were problems. There were not enough ladies loose.
Yeah.
And they were badly maintained, so you really had to hold on most of the time.
Yeah, I remember Shastri Bhavan, ma'am, used to be filthy.
Yes. So things have changed, things have improved. We can speak out, we can ask for our rights. I think that is also a definition of empowerment, and having your basic needs met. And with all these schemes, as Joyita very rightly put it, these are all interlinked, and I think it's a positive step. But again, on the ground, I think maintenance of toilets is always an issue. Keeping them clean is an issue. You go to the MCD office, as we went yesterday, you could smell the toilet a few miles away. So it's a combination of factors.
Okay, so the question I was alluding to, Ambassador said, was that the definition perhaps to you and me of what women's empowerment means, and yes. I would probably in a context say that, okay, this is mostly about the workforce, the number of hours you can work, equal pay for equal work. But when you look at it at a larger Indian context, empowerment is something as basic as that. I don't have to spend X number of hours a day bringing water to my house. I don't have to worry about going to the toilet. I don't have to worry about smoking in coal fumes or wood fumes when I'm cooking. It's a whole different category, ma'am, that we have to account for as well.
Absolutely. And their needs are being addressed. I think that is a positive. But lots more needs to be done to make it effective on the ground, I think.
Okay, so let's look at practical steps. Sumitra Goenka, in a very practical manner, ma'am, okay, have I managed, or have I, as a country, has India managed over the course of 5, 10, 20 years, managed to do the basics better than we have ever before? That women out there, the vast majority who don't live in urban centers and have the privileges that all of you on the panel might have, that they are able to get their water on time, get their health facilities on time, have an ABHA worker or an ASHA worker available to them, that they have a roof over their heads, they have a toilet to go to, they feel safer. Are we getting these basics right?
Yes. So good evening, Rishabh. I remember a year back I was talking about the deep stick operation that you had covered. I had been a panelist then also, and we had categorically seen that there was a dashboard which the government had, and there were the deliverables which were measured. So the work that is happening and how it is affecting the lives of people. I think there is a dashboard which is talking about it, so you can always see through it as to what has been done in these years. And the irony is that after 60, 65, 70 years of independence as well, we couldn't make sure that the basic amenities were available to the women. And this government, after coming into power, they had taken an initiative, and these steps were taking on a war footing, that the woman has to be targeted, and she has to get the benefits, whether it is the direct benefit transfer giving her financial inclusion and independence, or giving her the basic amenities. हम बात करते हैं रोटी कपड़ा मकान, and I think the dignity of the woman, which
Okay.
was at stake here, was taken
Okay,
care
so
of.
if you'll
And,
allow me,
very clearly
let
see
me
this.
distill this to and it's going to be a slightly harsh reality check, okay? The harsh reality check of the country which I was born in said that for a vast majority of your fellow countrymen and women, a woman was not considered valuable, not considered a productive asset. It was a girl child being considered a burden, that if a girl is born to the family, she is not going to contribute economically to the family. In fact, we will have to save up because X number of dowries and monies will have to be collected at some point of day. So you had an unsettling, undigestible problem that girls were being killed, being aborted, to the point that to this day it is illegal in India simply to get an ultrasound done to identify the sex of the child, because we live in fear that even educated parents would be affronted if it happens to be a girl. So what do you do to change it from the point of view, good, bad, ugly, where a girl can't own property, not an earner, is supposed to be sitting in Gungat at home, does not partake in the workforce, is seen as a burden in terms of cost of marriage, is unsafe outside the house because it is seen as a commodity, free use. Her bodily personal security is unsafe. How do you go to work if you can't step out of your house? So from these very harsh reality checks, Joyita, before I get the good captain into this conversation, are we in the right direction? So now let's look at the Awas Yojana. Of the just over a few crore houses that have been given out, 64 lakh houses are in the names of women. That means 64 lakh women in the country are property owners. And all of us know that your property generally is your biggest asset. Okay? So it's in their name. And the rest of the family knows. A further 1.2 crore women are joint holders. So if there is a husband and wife, they are joint holders. 50% of the property is in their name. When we're looking at the toilets are being built in the name of the women. Is this, Joyita, then attacking the grassroots of the bias that had really suffocated women for too many decades?
I think along with the scheme that you're talking about, I would also mention Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. That was the first initiative taken by the Modi government, and I remember anecdotal evidence suggests that this was having a huge impact on the ground, especially in the regions of northern India considered to be extremely conservative. And again, anecdotal evidence suggests that a lot is changing on the ground. Once that awareness comes in that a girl can be a productive earning member of a family, and once it kind of comes in that I mean there is a future, she can work and all, there is a change. So what you're witnessing, if you're looking at the instance, say for example in child marriages, except for certain states, and I'm sad to say my home state in Bengal and all, everywhere that equation, that percentage ratio is improving. The minute that your child marriages start falling, that shows automatically that you have started valuing the woman's potential to what she can contribute. contribute to her family. So I think that is a huge marker. And yes, when you are looking at all these, all these schemes. In fact, I just want to mention one small thing. In last week in Noida, they were having Ministry of Rural Development was having a fair called Saras Ajivika Mela, and I was surprised to see the number of Lakhpati Didi stores that had opened there. So you see, these are the schemes that are working on the ground. I have been told by my reporters who have travelled in Madhya Pradesh that this ODF, the open defecation fee, open defecation free, okay, that scheme, now that is actually showing on the ground. Okay, I mean that, so automatically what is happening, it is not just statistics, you get these feedback that these are working on the ground.
Exactly. So now I want you to imagine just for a minute, wherever you're sitting, watching this live telecast, watching this later online somewhere, okay, just imagine if you're sitting, okay, and I told you I want to come and empower you, okay, so you need to break some glass ceilings and sit on boards of companies and, become, fighter pilots, but you can't go to the toilet and you have to walk for 3 hours to get water. Can you do it? Okay, right? So there is a complete two ends that we have to fight it. Reservation in parliament is the other end. So let me take the opportunity and get a perspective here. We have, of course, joining us on the telecast, Captain Anubha Singh also. Captain Anubha, can you tell us a bit about your life journey first? Okay, what took you into uniform, ma'am?
All right. First of all, I would like to take this occasion to wish all the women panelists here a very happy International Women's Day. And this is what we were just talking about, that of course women had to face what the ground reality is, many basic things missing in their life. Fortunately, I was born in a family where I did not see all this, but once I stepped out of that protective environment, I definitely saw that, and that was a very, very sad and very tough reality, which you say. But how I went into the uniform, in fact, my entire family and my father himself, he would always tell me that you have to stand on your feet. He never said that, okay, once you finish your studies, we'll marry you off. That was totally not spoken about in the family. Always, all of us, I have two younger brothers, all three of us were told that you all have to work hard and study well and stand on your feet. And similar thing happened in the family. So that is how, that kind of family. I'm sure many of us are fortunate, but of course, the reality is that there are women, and of course, a great number of women who are not maybe that privileged, or they do not come from, that kind of protective, or you can say that empowered and broad mindset kind of environment. So I'm very glad to see that presently this divide is shortening. Of course, we really need in India is a movement. Unless and until in past 14 years, we have seen that how a small movement like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and toilets for everybody has made a difference. We can see it on ground. So I think such movements are required in India to change the mindset of people. It is not that women do not want to do anything. Of course, women who are working in the family, who are not going out and earning a living, they are, encouraging the children to do well, whether they are female or male. So that kind of, change has come.
Okay.
The only thing which is actually should be looked into is the protection of women. The mindset we've been always, I think we all agree to it that of course the mindset needs to change. But yes, the protection part is still somewhere I feel that women are not lacking to take any kind of, challenge. But protection in the society.
All right. So security remains a primary concern, because, like I said, these are base level things. Because what empowerment means to you and me and our families for women is totally different from where the rest of the country is operating. Now, I'll take the case of the state of Haryana. In my time, through schooling and through the early years of my profession, Haryana was infamous for the worst sex ratio. It was down to, I think, 860 girls for every 1,000 men. It had become so bad that men had to travel outside the state to find brides, okay, in the most practical sense, because there was simply all the women had been killed at birth or due to abortion. Okay, that sex ratio, ladies and gentlemen, in Haryana has gone from 860 to close to 940. Okay, and why has that happened? That's not just happened because of a miracle button being pressed and everybody's become altruistic, or because the slogan has sunk in. From small schemes like sporting schemes for women. So if you're a girl athlete today, okay, under a scheme from government, you get paid a monthly stipend. Young girls are getting scholarships, they're becoming earners. When they win medals, they become the pride of the village. When they represent the country, and the Prime Minister meets them, or the Sports Minister meets them, and the Chief Minister meets them, and the state level minister meets them, they become the pride of the village. Okay, statues are being made of them. So you completely, from a core place, change things. So Mitra Goenka, let me come to you. So when we look at the overall picture, we looked at the grassroots picture. Let's look at the other side of it. When we talk about ISRO, when we talk about corporate sector, when we talk about India's boards, India's startups, India's entrepreneurs, India's armed forces, when we talk about politics with the 33% reservation, on the other side of the spectrum also are we making progress?
Yes, definitely. It is quite evident, because see, we have first of all seen that the Companies Act has been also changed to have more women on the boards. So that is also getting encouraged, and our finance minister has been speaking about it. So that has completely changed the way even corporates are looking at women, and we are seeing more women now occupying important positions, board positions as well. So this has been a great development. Secondly, the Women Reservation Bill, which got passed in the Parliament last year, which is ensuring 33% participation of women in policy making space. This is going to bring about a huge change in the way the policies are currently getting made in the country, because we will see more inclusive policies coming in due to this great step. And if every sector, if you look at startups, if you look at the STEM sector, we are seeing more and more women participating. Today, we see how many women are getting higher education in India, or they are going abroad. It's no longer a taboo now that, okay, women cannot travel outside their villages or their cities, or maybe even outside India alone. So this is a remarkable achievement. In the army schools also, now we are seeing that women are being taken in. There is more participation of women in combat roles also. ISRO scientists, we have seen how many women have been instrumental in getting us to the moon and also to the Mars. So these things, I think, have acted as a great inspiration also for the women of India. We have seen women athletes doing great.
Yes, exactly. So it's at both ends. It is a spectrum, and it is at both ends of the spectrum. So we discussed the bottom end. Let me get Ambassador Manju Seth into this. Ambassador Manju Seth, I'm going to give you a very practical anecdote. So as people who watch NewsX often know, that we do a lot of conversations on foreign policy, strategy, defense related matters. And like it or not, if you do those conversations and you just want to put together a guest list, it will be dominated by retired generals. Those will be all men. The vast retired ambassadors cadre, generally all men. So I have a team mostly of young women. 80% of our NewsX staff is women, in average age is 25. And they sat down and said, no, we have to make sure that there is a representation of women, and they made it happen. That of course becomes easier, Ambassador Manju Seth, because now you have more women in the armed forces. In the next 10-20 years, they'll be retiring, they'll be inspiring others to join, and a corrective will take place in due course without any further interference.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right on that. Even in the civil services, we are seeing more and more women coming in every year for the last few years.
Topping, in fact.
Pardon?
Topping the civil services, in fact.
Services, absolutely. So it has increased a great coming into the foreign service, with the armed forces. In the NDA now we have women. So everywhere, more and more women are coming into the services, into the defense services, and I think that is a very positive development, and it is only going to get better. Second, another point I just wanted to make separately was that we have been talking about women not outside in the workforce, but I feel that women in the homemakers, the unpaid caregivers, their work also needs to be acknowledged in all this, I think. So we should also see how they have contributed to other women coming, the unpaid, homemakers, how they have encouraged their daughters and made them got them where they are.
Yeah,
so
I think fair point. I think we have obviously a long way to go. This is not like I said, we are done. Let's move on to something next. Obviously, it's a journey that needs to be traveled. Security remains a primary issue, but okay. Captain, I had the privilege of meeting Shaliza Dhami. She's become the first Indian in the Air Force to lead a combat unit, and we interviewed her a few weeks ago. Are you seeing this as anecdotal, as tokenism, or are you genuinely seeing within the forces a change?
Definitely, I'm seeing a sea change in the armed forces. That's how the women are accepted, and how they are taking all the challenges, and how the kind of faith and belief of the armed forces has come into this thing, that they are coming, going ahead and giving the meritorious women the leadership roles, and also appointing them as commanding officers, and in fact encouraging them. So this is a very, very bright and good beginning, I would say.
Okay, all right. Joyita, before we wind up the telecast, so is it reasonable to construct that just from sheer pragmatism, sloganeering Garibi Hatao, Garibi Bachao, and Garibi Hatao, Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan, we've been hearing for the past 40-50 years. In terms of practical intervention with real last mile delivery, both at the spectrum which does not have a toilet to the spectrum who sits in a brand new parliament, are we heading in the right direction? Has Modi done the due when he says that women are a core of my constituency that I'm aiming for?
Yes, and it is not just about the schemes also, but I think we are also making the right strides when we are looking at, say, for example, women labour force participation, because that was pretty low. I mean, even I would say a couple of years back. Now it is gradually going up. It is nearing 40%, which is still very low when it comes to international standards. But I think that very fact, I would say, in the last 2 years, they are saying there has been an increase in 4 percentage points. That itself is an indicator.
So I want
that
you to look at just the practicality of it now. For a large percentage of women in India who have spent most of their lives wondering about where they get water, how they cook their food, how they feed their families, how they provide for health, how they get a roof over their heads, let alone how they start a business or take a job. That was not in the gambit, okay? Just going to the washroom, filling a bucket of water. This was the priority for the day, okay? If you have a house, that grate is in your name. You don't have to fetch water, okay? Your kids are going to school and their meals are provided for. You now have some time during a day. That time best to start a business of your own, be entrepreneurial. But you need a loan, then great, you can get a mudra loan, and the loan is in your name, the house is in your name, the loan is in your name. You get to start a business, innovative business, like we will start a drone operation which will lease out to the farmers and will become a Lakpati Didi. Okay, this is the logic. So these are practical interventions that go a long way than slogans. We are heading in the right direction. We have not reached there yet, and security, of course, remains one of the key points where we have a long way to go. I thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Happy Women's Day to all of you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.